I will say that the state has been much more functional witness
Yeah.
today. Maybe they are aware that they crossed that line. Maybe the judge even said something Friday evening because
Mm.
maybe he's looking at the jury, because that was a 1-2 punch of the autopsy findings and then the mom.
Yeah. And um, the elevator
Nothing like,
music in a
yes.
school shooting trial. I mean, we sometimes make commentary that is, but we are trying to make the unbearable tolerable.
Yeah. And I think it's fair to call balls and strikes and to say,
Mm,
I wonder what this is doing. And since we aren't able to see a lot
mm,
of the sidebars in this, we are left to kind of speculate what went on. And
mm.
w- with the way they said, skipping numbers, and from my notes, the state has been very like every single photo. I think the
Yeah,
judge is getting tired. He's like, okay, we're not going to focus on the pools of blood. We're not going to do this. And
mm,
if you notice this time when they talked, we didn't have that loss of sound. I believe the
yeah,
judge also told them we're not doing the path through each child and then down to the floor, because I think
yeah,
that's what that testimony was that we couldn't
yeah.
hear.
Mm. Yeah. And this morning session also brought some new facts I didn't know. I did not know that the defendant, Mr. Gonzales, actually charged with another officer to try into the corridor, into this death zone, death
Yeah.
funnel, with the result that the other officer got injured.
And it never made sense to me why the defense made that distinction of the time, whereas
Mm,
the state didn't. And now it makes sense because the state didn't want it to come in that
yeah,
Adrian was inside the building, that he took
yeah.
fire.
Mm. Also brings new light to the grand jury because the grand jury probably never heard that Gonzales went in with a fellow officer, the first actually running in just to try. Once they discovered, shit, he's inside. Two two officers charged, and Mr. Gonzales was one of them.
It's
If
Trenton. Oh, sorry, I was looking at a question. So,
mm,
$32 question at this point. Do you think the defendant has to testify? Yes, but not for the reasons you think. And here's why I say this. The state has shown that this is a show trial. We know
mm,
exactly that this man is not here to defend himself legally. I think looking at how he's been reacting and how he looked just as devastated as I did at the end of Friday,
mm,
I think he's going to talk. I think you have to hear it from his perspective because he has to be the one that makes it a reasonable case. He has to be the one that says, I didn't know. Look, I was
yeah,
hearing from this particular witness that she had seen him over here. I was told that we had backup coming. My radio wasn't working. I didn't want to
mm,
leave this civilian. He has to explain his reasoning.
yeah, and also this might also be, say they already made that decision. That could also explain why some questions aren't asked because they don't want to forewarn the prosecution.
It very well could be.
Mm,
And it might be, again, this man hasn't been able to talk, hasn't been able to tell his story.
mm,
These parents are baying for blood. Look,
yeah,
some of them really want him to go down. He
mm,
needs to sell, not really to, yes, to the jury, but I think in part he needs to sell to these parents. The
mm,
state has used him as a prop, as propaganda, as
mm,
the monster that allowed the monster to get in. He has to change the way he's perceived because I'm guessing he still lives in this town. So it's not, again, there you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons of him testifying, but I think this is like a self-defense case where you have to explain your reasonability and have it stand up to interrogation. But I think it might be cathartic for people to hear what he did, especially when we know what he did now was engage with the gunman and get the children out. The parents don't
Yeah.
seem to have known this story. The teachers
Yeah.
were unaware.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is still the prosecution's case. If the prosecution brings forward mothers who lost kids in there, the defense might have someone's parents who he saved. But that again might be legally that can be construed as character witness, but I don't believe, since he was actively saving children.
Yeah.
So it depends on the court ruling.
I'm just wondering where we're going. The state's case has yet to make sense to me,
Yeah.
other than they're doing the same case they would have done against the mass unaliver.
Yeah. I mean, his inactivity between once he stopped to when the shooter entered the building, which is a minute and a half. And now we know shortly thereafter, he sprinted. Once he knew, once it was confirmed, he's inside. Because then he knew, okay, I don't need this cover. This civilian is somewhat safe, and then he sprinted.
Yeah. So again, I'm not seeing the state's case here, and I think the judge is getting tired of it too. I really have noticed a shift in the judge today.
Yeah. I wish we could listen to these, which I assume is why the morning break was 40 minutes, not 15. They went through stuff. For me, that is for me personally, that is the most interesting thing in this trial.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Because we're left to speculate, which we can make kind of educated guesses, based in logic. But again, this is why these trials are streamed, so that we can be in on that. We're not the jury. We don't need to be outside the presence. Unless they were putting up and saying, no, that can't be on screen no, we're not. So, and the judge might have made that a rule of decorum. Like when we go to sidebar, I don't want you filming because we might be showing this.
Yeah, I mean, the more, I already said it, but I will repeat it. The more I find out the facts of this case, day one, I said, fuck this guy. I don't say that anymore, actually, because the pure facts, if we can count away all the feelings, sadly, I'm used to it. I've been doing law for over 30 years. I've seen horrific injuries. I need to block out the feels for this cold gray logic. If you just go by what do we know happened, and the more I find out, the more I'm looking at this guy, and I don't see where he did wrong.
No. What more humanly could he have done?
Yeah.
Again, he tried to go in there. And I was under the impression, because I didn't really follow this case, that this was one of the jackasses in the hallway. I think a lot of people thought, okay, this has to be one of those jackasses that stood in the hallway.
Yeah. But no, none of those are charged.
And now it makes sense why the defense is so passionate in this
Mm,
man's defense, because for a while I was like, how did this, how did he get such really good lawyers? I mean, everyone's entitled to really good lawyers. I don't mean like that,
mm,
but he has obviously has a specialist with former police training and
mm,
tactical training. He's got different lawyers, and I did wonder, but it makes sense why they are
mm.
so incredibly passionate about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It does.
And we might look into the lawyer did an
Mm,
interview with Scott Peterson. I had to
mm,
unplug from this trial this weekend.
mm. Yeah, I've been doing other things. I've been checking out other things, and I did. By the way, did you know that in Dubai this weekend was the Billion Follower Summit, where 15,000 of the largest social media accounts went to Dubai and talked about creating content for good in
Mr.
Dubai.
Beast
Yeah,
creating
Mr. B. Oh,
content
oh,
for good.
good. And all, I mean, everybody who is something. And I'm just there in Dubai, where free speech is non existing, where women can't vote, where there are no labor laws. If you insult the royal family there, you go to prison. And 15,000 of the world's biggest social media accounts were there kissing ass.
I
Because
mean, any chance I get to RSVP no
mm,
to anywhere Mr. Beast is the day I count myself lucky to be a small
mm.
channel.
And I would publicly have a challenge, because apparently this was the fourth year as well. I had no idea it existed.
What, did they have it
Mainly
in
because,
Qatar and North Korea the other years?
yeah, apparently. Next year, if they're going back to Dubai, all of those 15,000 of the world's biggest social media content creators, here's my challenge. Go out on the stage and say, fuck that guy. Specifically the royal family of United Arab Emirates. Fuck him. Fuck them all to hell. You try that. You try that and see what happens.
Wait, does
Because
that
if you
mean that
don't,
Jack Doherty was over there too? Can we get him arrested and say, can we keep him in Dubai?
uh, yeah,
I think we're
yeah.
not thinking about this greatly.
Mm,
We send all of our douchebags to Dubai. They act
mm,
like themselves. They get arrested. They stay out of our country.
yeah.
It's reverse immigration. I love it.
Mm. Now I would never be invited to one of these things, because I would probably say something like that. Hey, I do labor and employment law. Have you heard about these 4,000 dead workers that you ignored because you wanted a new stadium? Yeah.
So all these thinking hobbyists
Mm.
got together. How was there any oxygen left in the room?
I mean, uh, if we go by ego, I mean, they more or less cover the entirety of the Middle East, but they were in Dubai. Yeah. Okay, I need to grab something to eat,
Me
need to
too.
recharge, and I will send you all over to Mo, who will do the afternoon session.
Yep.
Once you get there, you immediately press the thumbs up. Immediately, because you're not, because this trial here is, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
so don't do the thumbs up for the trial, do the thumbs up because what we do with the trial, okay?
And this trial is important. It's hard to watch, but this is a miscarriage of justice if this man is being held to an impossible standard to make everyone else look better
Yeah.
or to dispel neglect other places.
Mm.